bottom. The first fight is Alex Oliveira versus Tim Means. And, these two guys are basically the exact same style, in my opinion. They're both, they have decent wrestling, offensively and defensively. They're primarily strikers. They have a little bit of a submission game, but it's mostly just for defense, in my opinion. Oliveira's a little bit better on offense. But, like I said, I think this fight's going to take place on the feet like 90% of the time. And I don't know. Oliveira, sometimes he has a hard time dealing with guys with long reaches, and I just think that might be the biggest difference is if Tim Means can really use his reach as efficiently as possible, he could probably win a decision. But this fight is the closest fight in the whole card, in my opinion, because I think these guys are basically dead even. I think they have almost the exact same skill set. But like I said, I'm going to give Tim Means the slightest edge. I say he pulls a decision out just as long as he can use his reach to keep Oliveira at the end of his strikes. Next is Brandon Thatch versus Niko Price. And Niko Price looks like a decent striker, but he's taking this fight on kind of short notice, and I think that's going to be a huge thing. Brandon Thatch is also a really good striker, but he had a full camp for this fight, and that's just the biggest factor. Is, if Niko had the whole time, then maybe it would have been closer, but I'm going to pick Thatch. I just think he's had more time to train for this fight, and he's probably going to end up winning by knockout or TKO. Next is Antonio Carlos Jr. versus Marvin Vettori, and Marvin's a decent jiu-jitsu guy with some striking, but I just feel like Carlos Jr. is the much better jiu-jitsu guy. And I think sooner or later this fight will hit the mat, and when it does, Carlos is just going to control this guy on the ground and probably eventually win by submission. Next is Mike Pyle versus Alex Garcia, and this is one of those coin flip things because either Alex Garcia is going to knock Mike Pyle out in like the first round, or Mike Pyle is going to weather that early storm and probably get a finish in the third with like a submission. And I'm going to go with the latter. I just feel like Alex Garcia has not been looking impressive. I think he's been actually getting slowly worse and worse. And not only that, but, if he usually can't hit you with that first blitz, he kind of relies on his wrestling a lot. And I feel like if he's going to wrestle with Mike Pyle, that's going to favor Mike Pyle because then they're grappling. And if Mike Pyle's just straight up grappling with somebody, then he's doing all right. It's when he's in a straight up striking fight is when he has a hard time beating people because a lot of times guys are a little bit faster or they have more knockout power than him. But I just feel like this fight's going to hit the mat, and Pyle's got much better conditioning than Garcia does, and I think Pyle's going to win by like third round triangle choke or something like that. Next is Johnny Hendricks versus Neil Magny. And this is kind of it for Johnny Hendricks. If he can't win this fight, then he needs to either move up or consider retiring because Neil Magny is a good fighter, but this isn't a fight that Johnny Hendricks should lose, in my opinion. I feel like this fight really should favor Johnny in every aspect. His wrestling's better. I think his striking overall is better, and he's got more power. The only area I think Neil is better is in conditioning. And like I said, if Johnny Hendricks can't pull this fight out, he needs to either consider retiring or moving up a weight. But I say Johnny Hendricks win by knockout, probably in the first round. Next is Louis Smolka versus Ray Borg, and these two guys have pretty similar styles. They're both like submission guys. Ray Borg's probably a better wrestler, but Louis got much better striking in my opinion. And I think that's what's going to happen is I think Louis is going to have learned from his last fight. I think he just got caught with the guillotine pretty early. He just wasn't expecting the guy to come at him as hard as he did, and he just got kind of caught. I think now he's more prepared. Now he's learned from that mistake. And I think Ray Borg, his biggest weakness has always been his striking isn't that great, and I don't think that his striking will have improved as much as Lewis's has. Lewis has been getting slowly better throughout all of his fights, and I feel like grappling-wise they're probably about even. But either way, I think Lewis has got the better conditioning overall, and I think that just his ability to throw strikes in any position is going to give him the big advantage, and I think sooner or later he's going by TKO, maybe submission. Next is Dong Hyun Kim versus Tarek Saffiedine, and I just don't feel like Tarek Saffiedine has the wrestling or the striking knockout power to, keep Dong off of him. I just feel like he might hit Dong with some good strikes here and there, but I think Dong can take some little strikes to get in close. And we've seen, Tarek's, 2-2 in the UFC, and his 2 wins are over guys that are just okay. And then his 2 losses were to, 2 guys that were really good. And not only that, but in his last fight against Rick Story, he had a really hard time getting off of the fence. I feel like Rick was able to just crowd him up against the fence and just kind of hit him with small shots and just keep him there the whole fight. And I feel like, if Rick Story could do that, I feel like Dong Hyun Kim should be able to do that too. And that's just what I think is going to happen. I think Dong will eat some little strikes here and there, but he'll be able to control this guy either against the fence or on the mat. Next is TJ Dillashaw versus John Lineker. And John Lineker looked really good in his last fight, even though he missed weight by like half a pound, which isn't super bad. I don't like it when guys miss weight, but if it's by like that much, that's not a huge deal. With TJ, you know, he's used to fighting these guys that have that plotting style. I mean, he already beat Barao twice, and this is no offense, but I mean, I think Barao is way better than John Lineker. I think his striking is way more diverse, and I think he's a lot faster. I think that John Lineker's biggest strength is his power, but I don't know if he's going to be able to land those types of shots on TJ because he has to really sit down and wind him up. He could try to do what Joe Soto did and try to just wait and counter, but he's not really a counter fighter, you know what I mean? He really likes to push forward and, you know, hit guys to the body and shit like that. And I think TJ's movement is too good. I also think TJ's wrestling and jiu-jitsu is too good. We haven't seen John Lineker get taken down in a while because he hasn't been fighting great wrestlers, but I mean, I remember before at flyweight when guys would take him down, he had a hard time getting back up, and I feel like TJ's got the wrestling to take this guy down if he needs to. And once he does, I don't think John Lineker can get back up, in all honesty. I think TJ is going to be able to smother him and win by submission. Because don't forget, John Lineker is a pretty small dude. He's not this gigantic 135er. I mean, I think TJ is probably like a foot taller than him, or he will look like a foot taller than him. So I think sooner or later, TJ is either going to get this fight to the ground in some way, shape, or form and win by like guillotine or rear naked choke. Next is Dominick Cruz versus Cody Garbrandt. And I know people are really high on Cody Garbrandt, but he's impressive. I'm not going to deny him that, striking-wise, but we haven't seen him fight a single wrestler since he's been in the UFC. Like, in all honesty, think about it. Marcus Brimage is a striker. He fought that Mexican dude who was a boxer, and then he fought a jiu-jitsu guy, and then he fought Almeida and Mizugaki, who are both like boxers and a Muay Thai guy. I haven't seen him fight a single wrestler yet, and Dominick Cruz is a really good wrestler. I mean, I don't think Dominick Cruz has had a fight so far in the UFC where he hasn't taken down his opponent. And I mean, I know Cody trains at Team Alpha Male, but if you think about a lot of those Alpha Male guys had strong wrestling backgrounds when they came into MMA. Like, all of them wrestled Division I, Division II in like college and shit like that. Cody Garbrandt came from a boxing background, so you know, he doesn't have that lifelong wrestling ingrained into him. I mean, I'm not saying his wrestling is bad, but you just got to think about it. Dominick Cruz has taken down everybody. He took down TJ, and TJ had never been taken down up until that point. So, do I think Cody has the wrestling to keep? Maybe. But I think the other big question is, do I think Cody has the speed to keep up with Dominick? And no, I don't. I think he has the power and the hand speed, but I don't think his foot movement is good enough to keep up with Dominick. I already saw in that fight with the Mexican dude that he fought. He has a hard time fighting guys that have good foot movement. I mean, he's a better striker than that Mexican guy was, which is why he won. But guys that are able to kind of move away from him and make him have to chase them, sort of, and won't just stand there and fucking throw with him, he has a hard time beating those people. And I feel like Dominick can move away from him and just use his speed and his wrestling to either ground a decision or maybe get a late submission win. Finally, we got Amanda Nunes versus Ronda Rousey, and this is no offense, but this fight is so tailor-made for Ronda right here. This is one of those things where it's like, this chick is not going to doesn't have the movement to get away from her. She's going to try to move forward on her and just swing big shots, which, you know, is perfect for Ronda. She wants someone to come at her. That plays right into her wheelhouse, you know what I mean? People come at her, she can clinch up with them and take them down. That's why they rush this fight so quick, because they don't want somebody like Holly Holm or that chick that just beat Holly Holm, that Polish chick or Scandinavian chick, Valkachinov. I can't remember her last name, but you know what I mean? One of those really good strikers who can just move away from Ronda and she can't just fucking blitz them. You know, Amanda Nunes is a great striker, but she doesn't have that foot movement to get away from Ronda, and you know, as much as I want Amanda Nunes to win this fight, especially if you've been watching the media thing, it's kind of horseshit that Ronda's getting all this exemption from the media. And there are a lot of other fighters like Nick Diaz and Conor McGregor that got pulled from cards for doing crap like that. So it's a little weird that she's getting all this, you know, free, I don't know what you want to call it, but you know what I mean? They're letting her off really easily with the media crap, and it's just bullshit, in my opinion. And it's also bullshit that she got this title fight over, you know, like Holm or somebody else. But like I said, this fight plays perfectly into her wheelhouse. I think she'll get a takedown really early and win by armbar. I really hope Amanda Nunes wins this fight, but realistically, this matchup is just so bad for her. Anyway, thanks for watching, guys. Please like and subscribe.